let's start off with introduction of our speakers here. Swapn is from Bangalore, all others are from Goa. Start introducing yourselves.
Randhawa. I head the brand relations for Samsara Gin for Pan India. Based out of Bangalore, but Goa has become a second home for me as we produce the liquor here only. Here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Saarthak Gupta. I am the CEO and founder of Purple Martini, which is a restaurant in Goa, and it's been 11 years now. And I've been staying in Goa for 11 years. So yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kasturi. I'm the founder of Maka rum. Maka means I want, and Maka is India's first premium homegrown artisanal rum. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Nolan Mascarenhas. It is loud. Yeah. I am basically a writer in the food industry. I am a part-time juror and curator as well. I am part of the 30 best bars in India as well as culinary culture. So well entrenched with the food and nightlife and drink sector out here. Thanks.
Hi guys, I'm Kanishk Lamba. I am the managing director for Tabeer Hospitality, and we run a couple of brands under that segment. A boutique hotel by the name of Anamiva Goa, that's 24 rooms. We have a 100-seater restaurant in the hotel as well by the name of Analog. We also are Budweiser's first nightlife venue in the country by the name of BudX Loft. It's a 250 capacity venue. We host multiple genres of music in that venue. Also run a delivery kitchen by the name of Takeout, and been in Goa for close to 10 years now. Thank you.
Let me start off with Saarthak from Budloft. Sorry. Kanishk, just want to understand. Budloft is basically focusing on Budweiser. It's a beer bar or a professional nightclub?
So basically the Loft ran for about a year and a half. While we ran it as an underground performance venue. No signboards, invite only, specific artists around the globe that we would host, specific styles of music like house, disco, afro, techno. But a very niche approach in terms of marketing. It was more word of mouth. If you know, you know. Eventually, Budweiser approached us about a year and a half in, and being a brand that advocates the most heavily amongst the alcohol brands that we have in our country, they wanted a spiritual home for representation of Budweiser with music. So we worked on that project for like a year and a half. Aligned a lot of aspects that have never been done before. And they came on board as, let's say, funding and sponsoring partners to facilitate larger events at the venue. Because being a 200-150 capacity and an invite-only venue, it's hard for revenue to build to a certain extent where you want to make it extremely profitable all the time. It's not something that you can scale to that level unless you have a patronage of an alcohol brand that comes in, you know, feeds your soul and kind of tells you to do better. That's why Budweiser has kind of stepped in. So yes, we have exclusivity with Budweiser where their products are fully sold, but they give us the opportunity to sell other brands as well, which is again a unique collaboration that an alcohol brand has done. The idea is to scale with them. The idea is to do more, to build the music culture on a larger scale. Just like how festivals do it for about 10 to 15,000 people on an average, we'd rather do it for, let's say, 10 cities across every weekend, you know, with approximately 300 to 500 people in the venue. So you achieve similar numbers, but the scalability is high because you're doing it 150 times a year instead of doing it maybe about 3 or 4 times a year at a festival. So that's the vision of how Budex Loft came about.
Is there a particular focus on a genre of music or?
It's a wide spectrum, but we stay away from the commercial stuff usually. That's very popular. It's mostly bringing awareness to artists who've been working in the culture for about 15-20 years, have been producing music, have been, let's say, still art or visual art specialists for about 15-20 years, but have not come on the map. The idea is to kind of give them a stage to do that. I feel popular music already has a stage and a bandwidth to expose themselves to a larger audience. Our idea is to do it for the rest of the 5 or 10% that doesn't get exposed to the world. Yeah.
So Goa is known for nightlife, and you have a mixed-use development in your property.
Yeah.
You have rooms, you have fine dine, you have a club. Are you looking at the next era? Are you looking at current trends with all this Gen Z and
yeah, we have.
going crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have to adapt to the newer trends of outreach and communication to the newer public. I mean, it's completely essential to do that. If you don't evolve in this industry, you die. You die very fast, especially with Goa being an even niche market. It's a hard run to survive. So trust me, I'm blessed to have Budweiser to come and give us patronage to do so. Otherwise, it's just another story amongst us that, oh, we used to have parties there, it used to be a great time, you know, once upon a time. So, I mean, I'm sure people will agree with me on that when it comes to that.
Sorry?
I mean, currently we open from like 9 p.m. and until about 4 in the morning as per license timings. So, that's...
4 in the morning?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Nolan?
Yes, yes.
So, when it comes to your current 50 best bars, 30 best bars, do you see any Goan bars in the race?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But Bangalore is taking over now.
Which is brilliant. I'm so happy for that. But Goa is brilliant because we've made quite a big splash in that pond. You know, year after year. There you go, right? Hideaway, Boilermaker, Outrigger, Bar Outrigger. No, it's gone up to Bangalore first now, as you said. But we're pretty close considering. Look, when you look at let's look at the dynamics of a metro versus call us a paradise city of sorts, nothing else. Right? I wouldn't say tier 2 because we're not tier 2.
It's a party capital.
It's a party capital. It's paradise city. So if you actually look at people spend so many parameters, spending capacity. You're looking at patronage. When you're talking about tourism, like tourists versus residents who are in your city. There's a big skew, right? When you look at Bangalore and Goa, talk about any bar in Bangalore. What's your average APC over there? Okay, it's ridiculously astronomical. You're talking about, I'm not talking about breweries and stuff like that, leave that aside. But I'm talking about an average cocktail in Bangalore, right? 900, 950 plus taxes? $1,000, 1,100. Goa's caught up as well for some of the top 30 bars that have made the list. We're in the same range, right? When you're talking about patronage, you have a reservation culture in Bangalore, which is not prevalent now in Goa. It is becoming prevalent because bars are adapting.
People just walk in.
Yeah, so earlier, what used to happen, people used to walk in and they used to loiter around and hang around the place. Now we're working micro formats, like as Kanishk also mentioned, right? Your space areas, barring Purple Martini, let's keep them out of let's keep Purple Martini on another side. But I'm talking about other formats, which are micro formats, has about, about 60, 70 souls in the place, at best. And that is sardine mentality, when you actually jam-pack them in a place. Bar Outrigger has how many people at any given point of time, right? It is pretty full. So you have to reserve space to basically get your drinks on time and stuff like that. So the whole dynamic is shifting and we're learning from you guys. We're learning from Bangalore. It was never the case 7, 8 years, 10 years back, you know. So I think it's become, the canvas has become same for the broad brushstrokes, because what we are looking at is the parameters which do not define it as Goa being Goa and Bangalore being Bangalore. It is across. So we look at price point, we look at concept, we look at things like that, which basically talks about the uniformity of code in the entire thing. So yeah, that I think Goa is going to overtake Bangalore next year, but that's fingers crossed.
Honestly, I want to add up here one point. When we were talking about pricing and etc., as per my observation, Goa bars are more expensive than Bangalore bars. Yes, most of the bars, a decent bar in Bangalore, the cocktail price will be 650, 700. Decent bar to go and 650, 700. But in Goa, a decent bar, the cocktail is something 950 to 1000. So you guys have already,
And there are takers for it, surprisingly.
Yes, surprisingly
right?
there are takers also for it.
And that's brilliant. And also, we've not even seen the best yet, because I think our peak will start in the months of October, November.
Yes.
That is Saarthak's domain, which I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say on that. But that's where the surge will actually take place. We're talking about that 6-month surge, which everyone is looking forward to. So yeah.
So in terms of drinking culture of Goa, Kasturi, what do you feel about your brand in Goa, Makazai? How has it been taken and what is the future?
I think the good part is that everybody loves drinking in Goa. Most people who also come, they have a particular objective that, they want to have a good time drinking. So that one battle is kind of won. You don't have to fight about not drinking. Chalo, one battle won. The second battle is when there are trends. There was a gin trend, and then there's a vodka trend, there's a tequila trend. So you kind of ride the trends and you kind of flow with it, and then there's always so basically you have to catch a trend, ride with it, and make the best of it. That's what I feel. That's Goa.
Goa started from Feni, now moving to gin and rum.
It's not about Goa. It's a trend which kind of gets set, I think, in the more during the cocktail week of London. Some cocktail or some drink that they kind of pick, and that is how the world kind of follows. That's been my study and research, and that's how gin kind of really boomed. If you see 2016, 2017, and then by India picked up around 2019, and the gin, I'm not saying it's gone, but there's always one person who kind of puts the head up, but the others are also kind of going. I'm not saying nobody's drinking gin, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying some drinks lift their head a little bit and then down. Currently, I think people are getting a little bit into white spirits. People are drinking a lot of tequila. Vodka is coming back into vogue, I see. I think vodka soda is coming back. Rum, is a drink which has a lot of prejudice. For example, most people think it's a men drink rum, mostly, and winter drink. Up north, people drink more. People from the army drink rum. So there are certain taboos which we start with. But if you see, we started Makazai about 5 years ago. Last 8-9 months, there have been a surge of rums. I think there have been some 8 to 12 brands which have come in. And I think it's a good space now. Future, I really don't care about the future. I'm a very now kind of a person. I just believe in what's happening now, and I want to focus on what's happening on and just push it what I can. I mean, we'll just keep pushing and we'll reach the future. That's all.
So, are you looking at getting into gin, or you stick to?
No, I'm going to stick to rum. I love rum.
Saarthak, one question for you.
Sure.
So, Purple Martini is now on top of the charts when it comes to nightlife, especially for people who are coming from outside Goa. I don't know about Goa trend, but Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore crowd, it's either Romeo Lane, Purple Martini, and that one more, I just forgot the name. Some 3 top names. So, do you think there is more scope to change, evolve, because you're giving all the experiences which entire country is copying. You started with the coal fire, then your dancers.
I'm glad that.
What next?
I feel Goa over time has evolved a lot. When we started Purple Martini in 2014, which not many people know. It's been 11 years. A lot of people think that it's an overnight success, or it's just become very popular over the last 2-3 years. But it's taken us 11 years, and we've grown over time. It started off from a 30-seater restaurant. Now it's a 700-seater restaurant.
That's tremendous.
Spread across 5 floors. Yeah, so you need to keep innovating. Like Kanishk said, that if you don't innovate, if you don't keep adding stuff, then even in terms of experiences, like you said, we started the fire thing. A lot of restaurants are doing it. We add a lot of things regularly. We've got a lot of things in line for the season as well. So I personally travel a lot abroad as well. And whatever I can see in different parts of the world, like a lot of party destinations like Mykonos, Ibiza, wherever you go, we just try and incorporate that in Goa, because over the last few years, earlier Goa used to get a lot of foreign nationals as well, but I think over the last 3-4 years, the bulk of our tourists are inbound. Like a lot of Indians have been coming to Goa, right? And Goa, is in the bucket list of a lot of people from B-tier towns as well, where they don't, like a lot of well-traveled people, they might experience something in a city like Dubai or Mykonos or Thailand, but there are a lot of people, for them, experiencing something in Goa in terms of vibe, in terms of entertainment, it's a first. So that's where we try and, ensure that we are the market leaders, and we give something to our customers always.
During this journey, have you faced any obstacles?
A lot of work.
In terms of, see, Goa is known for 100 different rules, whether it is a local crowd. Now I heard Ankit was telling some turtle breeding zone. You can't have loud music being played. No, crazy restrictions. Unlike in Bangalore, it's only about either traffic jam or sound issue, neighbor issue. But here, how are you facing, and is that the reason you haven't diversified into multiple venues?
No, so there are 2 questions here. One is the problems in Goa. Obviously, Goa comes with its own set of challenges, and luckily what worked for us, I think, was that when we started off, we entered Goa in 2013-14, when there was no one here. So, a lot of the restaurants that came up in Goa, a lot of the restaurants from owners from Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, they started restaurants in Goa. Most of them started post-COVID, because they saw Goa really booming after COVID. We came with our own set of challenges. When we started, there was no infrastructure in Goa in 2014. Like in Anjuna, when we started Purple Martini, forget Wi-Fi, there was no internet. You couldn't get internet, you couldn't get any network on your phone. There was no water supply, electricity was an issue. So we've faced all these challenges, and over time we've grown. But having the second question, what you're saying is that why haven't we opened other outlets in different parts of India? So I think every entrepreneur, every restaurateur has their own set of business ideology. My business ideology is that if you're a king of an area, then you rather focus on that, right, rather than diversify too much. Because at the end of the day, the idea of running a hospitality venture is to make money, and you're running it's a business, right? So my mindset from the beginning has been that I would rather go from a 30-seater to a 700-seater in one location, rather than open 5 outlets of 100-seater or 120-seater, which is not easy to operate. And I personally believe people think hospitality is very easy, but hospitality is one of the most difficult businesses you can enter. And if you're setting up a restaurant, you need to be very hands-on. And I'm a very hands-on owner, so I like to be in control of things. But I have, a lot of Saurabh is not here right now, but he believes in franchising, and we've had a lot of discussions around it. I'm not a very firm believer of a vibe-driven place being franchise. I would rather have full control.
Yeah, because it's time now, 11 years. It's time for you to franchising.
You'll be getting to know something very soon. You're opening something more.
So what do you see the future of nightlife now with the current trends? I was talking to a few people yesterday. They were telling it's going to become even more stricter.
Hope not.
Yeah.
So no.
What is your idea of what nightlife?
Oh, nightlife.
What is your perception?
My perception.
From someone from Bangalore, we would know what is your perception.
Okay, let me put it like this. Most of the Bangalore nightclub owners, pub owners, they all get inspired by Goa nightlife. So whatever Goa does, it's copied there instead. So
Like,
they follow. Yeah. When it comes to
very good to know.
your cocktails, your programming of events, in fact, Budloft, if any new band is played here, if it is a success, it's immediately followed there in Bangalore. So whatever trends you set here, it is taken up there. So you guys are trendsetters. So,
That's a revelation. We don't know that.
so Kasturi, you feel the nightlife perception is different here? See, for us in Bangalore, and you take any part of India, Bombay, Delhi, nightlife is all about partying, your dancing, dance floor, your maybe Bollywood DJs. Now in Bangalore, things have evolved to, thanks to you, they are getting carnival dancers. They are flying down artists from Brazil, Spain, from across the globe, just because somebody else is doing it in Goa. They are spending a bomb, and that to a brewery. There's a brewery who's spending 4 lakhs for a weekend, for a juggler, for one LED dancer, and
That's very
for
common in
dancer.
Goa.
Also, I'll just take a step back and talk about everyone on this panel, right? All part of the same fraternity, but completely different genres. Okay, so if I have to categorize in my limited knowledge about nightlife, it's not a cookie cutter mold, you know. So what Saarthak is doing at Purple Martini and what Kanishk is doing here at Budloft, it's poles apart. They all fall under the same bracket, which is nightlife, right? You operate within the time zones of when everybody else in the world sleeps, basically, right? Let me just put it that way. But look at his genre. Okay, he has a mix for his clientele, which would not be seen in a Budloft at all. They would maybe try it out, and the people at Budloft will not be seen at a Purple Martini. It is that, yes, it's that niche, right? So you're talking about genres. When I'm talking about genres, let me simplify it a little further. He is into Afro and progressive and also lo-fi. It's a completely new sphere in terms of the way people have started adapting to that music. If I have to break it down demographically, everyone is targeting the same demographic pie. But at the same time, the mindset is very difficult. Is very different and difficult, right? Saarthak has a bigger canvas to play with, and please refute me if I am a little off base. But Saarthak is very generic when it comes to his people. I would see his pie being shared between people who would appreciate going to a Thalassa, a Romeo Lane, and a Purple Martini, right? Like that would be the hunting ground for his clientele, right? And you were asking me about bars as well. Bars have come into the nightlife foray as well now, because earlier it used to just be secondary when it came to the programming event for the night, right? excuse me, you would have a really killer DJ out there, a banger DJ out there, you would have pouring drinks at the bar. No one would ever go for a cocktail because they would have to wait for 25 to 30 minutes at the bar to get one, because there would be that much of exodus and inflow and outflow of it. Then you have to get creative in terms of how it is you want to entice them to keep drinking more, to dance more, and then have, that would be the cycle. Now you go to bars, they are trying to get that share of pie from a Bud Loft and a Purple Martini, because they're like, we're getting you chefs, we're doing cross collaboratives, you're coming down, we know exactly how much you're paying, you're not going to get that atmosphere, you're not going to get that music, but you're actually going to land up getting an experience which you're paying for, which is mute. So it will still be a banger night, but it will be, as I was talking to a friend the other day, and they asked me, Nolan, how does it feel being in the industry for so long? I said the only difference is I'd like to go to places where I can hear myself and people talk to each other. That's the only difference. I still love my music, I still love my drinks, I still love being in a crowd, but at the same time, I think it's the volume decibel that's working out. So nightlife as a concept is very generic, but at the same time, it is so micro-specialized. Because when you're talking about Bangalore and Goa, and you're flying people down, and we had the discussion, I was just thinking back to myself, there are so many verticals now that have erupted in the nightlife scene, which I'll leave it more to Saarthak and Kanishk to take forward, but that's like your playing field now. The algorithm obviously attaches to it, everything just attaches to it, but in micro universes within the spectrum, right?
Do you see a new era in nightlife? Is there a demand from your regular customers, regular visitors? Because you attract crowd from across the country, right?
No, so I think Goa, like after COVID, Goa saw a lot of domestic call coming in. And, then Goa had to evolve as well in terms of having an international experience when it came to hospitality. Rather than just, you can just get DJs, big names, that's one thing. But you need to give the overall experience to a customer, which is in terms of entertainment value as well. And I think there is a lot more we can do right now in Goa in terms of hospitality and entertainment. And a lot of new venues are coming up. We've got every few months there are 10 new restaurants opening up. And, from a place where you had outdoor parties or psychedelic music, now you've got luxury restaurants and bars, which was very unheard of in Goa. When we had come here in 2013-14, there was nothing in Anjuna Vagator, right? And now Anjuna Vagator has become like the hub of Goa, right? But that's where the nightlife is, and all the top restaurants and bars are there. So I think Goa has evolved a lot, but Goa can evolve a lot more as well.
Is microbrewery sector anyway coming up in Goa? Are there any
I know one that has opened up, Ministry of Beer, that's opened up in Anjuna. I don't know.
I think, the funny story is like before we were building the loft, that space was supposed to be a microbrewery. So I worked on that project for about 3.5 years. And I think what happened after COVID, like Saarthak was mentioning, that the demographic just evolved very fast, right? We had a transition of, let's say, 60% foreigners or 70% foreigners to 30 or 40% domestic, and that amount just swapped. Now, I think after COVID, people went down a revenge tourism mode, which was, I think, not paying attention to what they consume and how they consume. It was just that the lack of consumption for a year just led to them coming out very hard, which I think for the craft beer market, it just got lost in the noise, because generic brands like a Budweiser, like a Heineken and an Ultra, their sales went up by 300%. So their targets were re-engineered for them, and obviously they're now disappointed because it's not being met. But they kind of escalated it to the point, and then the marketing went in a direction where microbreweries lost a lot of traction. So we have a couple in Goa, like we have Susegado Brewing Company, We have Goa Brewing Company. Then Ministry of Beer has come up. Fourth city, they're not brewing, but they're doing tap rooms and all in Goa. So there is a following. Like, I mean, we're the only tap bar for Budweiser in Goa currently. Mobile Airport will be the second one. So I see a lot of like response to the tap culture. People like appreciate the fact that they want fresher beer instead of bottled beer. But I don't see a rise. I don't see that niche kind of being carved out or certainly being pushed. Like Saarthak was mentioning, Goa is more experiential. When people are coming for 4 days, especially from a Bangalore where you get the best beer in the country, you're not coming here to have better beer. You're coming here to have fish thali and listen to the most banging music, right? And like she was saying, alcohol is by default wherever you're present, alcohol is being consumed. Could be at a Pablo's, could be at Fat Fish, could be at Loft, could be at Purple Martini. So craft beer, tough run, in my opinion.
One more question. In Bangalore, most of the nightclubs get into action post 9:30, 10. How's the scene here in Goa? Is it early crowd or?
I mean, we have the advantage in Goa still because of lack of organization. I'd say it's pretty scattered right now. So it's a late culture in Goa. People usually pick up around 9:30, 10ish, but then we have a lot of spaces that go on till about 3, 4 in the morning. So Goa has that bandwidth, which like Bangalore doesn't have. Because I also started DJing recently, so I played a set in Bangalore, and they shut it at 12:45. Which for me, at Loft, I'm coming down at midnight to start the club and get it rolling for the next 4 or 5 hours, right? So it's a completely different perspective change. I think a timing extension is truly suitable for people to have a better experience. Even if it's 1 hour, makes a lot of experience. That 12:45 pushing to a 1:45 gives you that bandwidth from 9 to, let's say, up to 2 a.m. You get 5 hours to actually curate an experience for people. What are you going to do in 3 hours? Especially when Bangalore, what I noticed was that people were just leaving work and straight up, instead of getting stuck in traffic to go home and change their clothes and come back, they come straight to the club and then just get drunk and then just go home straight. It's a very Japanese style culture that they run. In Goa, it's Susagat, it's very different. People get ready, they'll go for dinner, they'll come to your club after, maybe a drink after that also, you know. But it's a very different mindset on how people operate, including the people who live here and the tourists. Very different from the city. City is on full time zone, crunched out, structured mechanism, you know. You have to be back home because you have to be back in office 9 a.m. Go if you're back in office 10:30 a.m. next day, it's fine. You'll push 1.5 hours at night.
Yeah, I have spoken to many people who have moved from Goa to Bangalore. Their first thing is, how do you people work? They are not used to this early culture. I mean, if you have to reach office in Bangalore, if you are working in an IT company or wherever, in peak traffic zone, you have to start home at 7:30 in the morning. And almost 95% of Goa is sleeping at 7:30.
Yeah.
It is. So coming to Swapn, you launched Samsara Gin, and now vodka. You have multiple flavors. How is Goa market treating compared to Bangalore and all other cities?
Goa market is always the first market for every alcohol brand. Because I personally believe this is the only market which targets the complete pan-India audience for us. All over from India, people come here, try different products, like the products, take them home back. So Goa is as for me, it is the first and very emotional market for any alcohol brand. Launchpad. This is the only market where you can get a reach for pan-India. If you, for example, there are not many products which are, of course, license is one of the things which is, as compared to other cities, is easy here for making the liquor here. But that's another thing. But more than that, as per if you ask me the Goa market, brilliant response. Not from the people here, not from the natives here, from the tourists here. Then they take the bottle back if they like it. Yes, totally, I agree with you. So, very important market for any alcohol.
So, coming to entertainment experience, now we have seen Goa going to the next leap, the next version of entertainment apart from dining and maybe your bar takeovers, mixologists, focus on molecular gastronomy. What is the next thing in Goa nightlife which can be a trendsetter for the whole country?
That's a very interesting question because I think Goa over the last 4 years, in terms of an experience which you get anywhere in the world, you get that in Goa. Now, I personally feel that, right? Obviously, when you go to international clubs, bars, restaurants, beach clubs, you have a different experience because I think in terms of in Goa there are a lot of restrictions still, right? So like if you go to a beach club in Bali, for example, a lot of the beach clubs there would be having a pool right next to it, right? So you can have pool parties right next to in a beach club right next to the beach. But in Goa, because of CRZ regulations, you won't find beach clubs having that, right? So I think in terms of the restrictions, in terms of the limitations that owners have here, you are asking me the problems. As a restaurant owner or as a hospitality entrepreneur, you face a lot of restrictions when it comes to things that you want to execute in Goa, right? So to execute, you can execute a lot of things, but whatever you can, I think Goa is already doing that in terms of experience.
See, one more thing, most of the outsiders have noticed is, even if they are leaders in other cities like Mumbai and Bangalore, when they come to Goa to expand or start something new, most of them have failed or they are facing trouble. They have failed or they're facing trouble in continuing. They face a lot of challenges.
But I'll tell you the main reason why. So during, and I'll just give you narrate a story because during COVID, when COVID happened, I think we were one of the first few restaurants that reopened in September 2020. And at that time, because of, like Kanishk said, there was a lot of revenge tourism, so a lot of tourists from all across the country came to Goa. That included a lot of restaurateurs, a lot of hoteliers who came to Goa. And at that time, the restaurants and hotels in Mumbai, in Delhi and Bangalore were still not open, or there were a lot of restrictions then. Even the restaurants here had to follow a lot of SOPs, but everyone was in Goa. And at that time, I met a lot of restaurant owners. This is 2020. I met a lot of restaurant owners, a lot of hoteliers who were inquiring about opening a restaurant in Goa, right? Because whichever restaurant they went to at that time, there were very limited restaurants at that time. There weren't a lot of restaurants that were open, but whichever were open, all of them were packed with people, right? And as a restaurateur from Delhi or Bombay, you saw that you calculated that the rentals here are much cheaper. The labor force here, the labor cost is much cheaper. So why should we open in Goa? And all of a sudden by 22, 23, because they started opening in 21, by 22, 23, you had at least 100, 150 new restaurants that were opening, right? In a very small area in North Goa, which is Anjana, Vagator, Siolim, Asagaon. You had restaurants from all over the country, like owners from all over the country were opening here. But Goa is a very different market, right? It's a very, very different market. And if you're successful in Bandra, does not mean that you'll be successful in Asagaon. That's my logic, right? Because here you're dealing in terms of clientele, it's a very different clientele. In terms of marketing, you need to strategize very differently. You need to deal with the locals here as well, right? There are a lot of, like if you are opening a restaurant in Asagaon, without knowing the problems that Asagaon comes with, you'll obviously face those problems. So I think a lot of the restaurateurs are over ambitious. Like you said, a lot of outsiders who came here. And it's not that no one's been successful. A lot of restaurants have done very well. Like Romeo Lane opened later on, but it's done well. It's done very well.
At least 10 of my friends who came from Bangalore operated for 6 months, 1 year. Less than a year, and they said, Tata, bye-bye. They just couldn't survive.
And it's very difficult as well. One thing is obviously, you're running a business venture, you want to make money. It's a no-brainer, right? You're doing business to make money. But that's one thing. But the other thing is you need to be very patient in Goa. You need to be very patient, you need to be very calm, because there are the challenges that you won't expect in any other city. You'll face those challenges in Goa, right?
Or is it required that you require a local partner for you to...
I don't have a local partner. I've been here for 11 years.
You're not from Goa?
I'm from Delhi.
Oh.
He is the local.
But now I've been living here for 11 years. So yeah.
Nolan, what is your take on this?
Actually, I want Kanishk to carry forward from that point, because it's very interesting you mentioned the local partner bit. I jibed saying Saarthak is the local, isn't it a partner? But it's a very interesting perspective. I'll tell you why. And then I'll get to the financials of it, okay? Because that is something that I've been working on a couple of numbers. When you're talking about the success hit ratio as to the number of people coming in, surviving, I call it a death trap syndrome, where it's a no-fly zone. I tell everyone who opens a restaurant or a bar, can I come after 6 months? And the first question is, they look at me saying, why? Are you that busy? I'm like, no, I'm not. I just want to see if you survived after 6 months. Because it's happened to me. It's happened to me in the past, where I have gone and covered a restaurant because of PR is a beautiful system. They get in touch with all the people that are required, and what eventually happens is there is that whole chance of people just walking in like FOMO. Like, I need to be the first to cover it because I think I'm invented cancer. It's something on those lines. I have like a cure for cancer. Let me just go and come so everyone can read about it. And then you take a step back, and then you kind of wonder. You write the article, and everybody is happy. All the investors, all the VCs, everyone's happy. They're sending you congratulatory messages, thanking you. And 3 months later, you go back or you send someone. My editor went herself after that, after 3 months, saw the place, and then she's like, it was a khandar. There was nothing there. There was a dog sitting over there and there were 3 dogs, that's it. And the whole thing was locked up. So that is what I'm talking about in terms of the churn. That's basically happening. It's easy to open something because, and this is my personal opinion, many a times the industry and the business of industry has changed. When you're talking about it, means I am really happy that Saarthak is someone who I know where he started from. Like these are like case studies of Goa. There is a Saarthak, there is a Mariketi, there are people like that. I know where they've started from and where they are today. And they've not done it with external help, with external influence. I remember the first time I met Saarthak, he gave me very sweetly on Baga Road. He gave me that little, remember that you had a purple little, drink, right? That drink thing, and there was a straw that, like you would travel to Rio and you had all those, you carry those, and then you would have your drink, or in Koh Samui you have your full moon party with a bucket of 6 different alcohols. Right?
That was the boss.
That's
how we
started. Yeah, that's what started. So the point is that money is necessarily not a good thing in this industry. It's not a deciding factor. It's very important, but it's not a deciding factor if you don't have a vision to it, because Goa is a completely different animal. People do not realize exactly what they get into it when they come to Goa. They see a beautiful old Portuguese house, and I know because I'm living next to a project, and they're waiting forward to the fact being, oh, it's coming in from Delhi, and it's going to be the banger, and 6 PR agencies are already on board with heavy retainers, and all that is happening. The chefs flying down, all of that is happening. And my first question is, you kind of work out the overheads, and I'm like, either you have really, really deep pockets, or you have gold bonds in Fort Knox, or you have 6 VCs that just need to burn money, right?
Or some politician's son.
I'm not getting there, but I don't want to get there. But surprisingly, that's how the dynamics of business is working right now. So I know personally for a fact that Saarthak is open. I started Purple Martini as a brand, and slowly and steadily over 11 years has done that. Kanishk and folks have done the exact same thing. They've built small spaces, manageable spaces, and then scaled up spaces. Right? So tomorrow, they're not pulling the plug on their own established. So is Kasturi. Right? I don't believe there has been a discussion of a venture capitalist funding at any stage from what you started your arm. And I know of other spirits that have come into the market, right? And they are heavily backed. Like really, really heavily backed. And when you're talking about the business of food and drink, I know that there are people out there, even micro VCs who have just got 16 shortlists for people to basically say, tell me 16 top names, I want to throw money at them. I want to take them all India. It's there. It's very easily accessible. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become a success.
In fact, the moment I posted about this event on my status, I got at least 10 calls telling you're going to Goa, you're meeting top guys. Please let us know, is it the right time to invest for the forthcoming season?
So, I mean, when you asked the question about what's going to be the next trendsetter for Goa, I think just structure. If they just start structuring every small component of facilitating a restaurant to be present and function easily for at least 3 to 5 years, everyone will survive. All your investor friends can come and open thousands of restaurants here, and you'll have more than enough people coming in because it's just a major supply chain problem. There is a major lack of facilitation. There's a major disagreement between the locals and the governance. And it has actually very recently happened, which I find very appalling because Goa's been having parties for 60 years. People have been partying in the outdoor for psychedelic parties for 50, 60, 70 years actually, right? Since the 1970s, 60s actually. But how do we suddenly come to a point where every outdoor music place has to shut by 10 p.m., right? And then eventually indoor, we have no regulations. We don't have any clarity of when we can actually truly function till. All of these gaps that we have in terms of infrastructure, facilitation is exactly what we need for Goa to become trend setting. Because once we have that and we have time on our hands to stop solving problems, we'll be actually be able to create more. And that's going to be the next trend setter. Because with Mykonos or all these other international places like Saarthak mentioned, you go to Thailand, it's ridiculously organized. They organize for you to spend each and every buck the moment you step into that country. That's why there are 32 million tourists going there every year. The country's population is 71 million. 50% of the country's population is tourists coming in to the country, going via one airport. We do 1 million tourists a year in Goa. So I mean, if you ask me about trend setting, we have a long way to go. But it's only the basic supply chain that's lacking on the ground. And the moment we're able to facilitate that, it's no going back for Goa. Goa is and always will be your top 5 party places on the globe to go to. That we can still vouch for. But again, facilitation, and if me and Saarthak spend 70% of our time problem solving and 30% of our time creating, we swap those, I mean, you'll have your answer, straight up.
See, one more question. Now, most of the party places are in North Goa. Is there a reason? Why not South Goa? Because everything is in North Goa and entire crowd is there. It's overcrowded. Go to any beach, it's like, sorry to use the word, literally hard.
See, I think it originally started from the Sai party thing, but eventually Baga and Kanduli and Kalangut had all the party scene happening there initially, and this was very niche. I think it's moved down because there's a demographic change on the kind of tourists coming into the state, and there is a bifurcation on the spending capacity of that consumer. So they are I think we've reached a point where that higher spend consumer domestically is coming down because they're getting better experiences, which ideally could afford to go to a Vietnam or a Thailand to get a similar experience, are now coming to Goa in the last 5 years post-COVID. Internationally, they've realized that they loved the ethnic original Goa with less development and more nature, which they are now finding in other places like Sri Lanka and Bali, right? I mean, we have to divide those areas as per your understanding. Like you're saying, everyone is going to Anjana Vagator. This is only a 5-year, 6-year bump. It will go for another 5 years, and then I think once development rises, naturally there will be probably cross the bridge, and next thing you know, Morjamandram will be the next thing growing up in 5 years. That's how the kind of belt has scaled out in the last 20 years, as per my observation. So currently, yes, hotspot is Anjana Vagator, and like Saarthak said, when you had so many restaurateurs, entrepreneurs, investors come in and see potential, then the tendency is to cloud more around the areas where it's easier to pull crowd from. Therefore, the Vagator Hill, that has basically a gazillion clubs and restaurants where people just kind of like, it's like a one hotspot. It's like a cyber city kind of, like there's only clubs and restaurants in that area. So I think that cluster making of restaurants is the reason they kind of keep adding more and more into it. But personally, you ask me, not a good idea. The restaurants that actually do well have isolated spaces and isolation for themselves as a brand. And then people like kind of initiate their travel to the outlet, have that experience, and then probably move to the next one or go home. So I think it's more like a trend right now to open a restaurant in Anjana Asaga or Vagator more than the fact that we can accommodate them currently.
It's actually become a fad now that, if you want to open a restaurant, let's open it there.
I think it's a good balance between north and south. I mean, whoever wants the quiet, go to the south. Whoever wants party, stay in the north. I think it's good. It's a good balance.
Taking forward from what Kanishk mentioned, let's do an apple to apple in India. Forget outside India. Okay, you're talking about Bombay. Bombay has a BKC belt, right? You're talking about Delhi has Aerocity, right? Talking about Goa. Goa has nothing in terms of a particular belt where everything is concentrated. You can't talk about North Goa. North Goa is close to about 480,000 acres of land. You can't fill it up with all the clubs in the world, and still there'd be space over and above that. The point is that these are dedicated zones. You fly straight into Phuket, you have a dedicated zone, which is not hindering people who live on that island. You go to Ibiza, you basically have a dedicated zone. You go around the cliff of Ibiza, you basically have people living over there very quietly, loving, like beautiful setup out there. On the other spectrum of it, you basically have the madness, the nightlife, the crazy parties, the loud noise going on till the wee hours of the morning. There's no problem whatsoever. There is a mutually understanding directive between inhabitants and people who are coming in as tourists. To the fact being that we're not going to intermingle with each other, to the fact being you do your business, we do life. So it's coexistence. And that comes from a directive from governance, right? Because you are dedicating that area, you are dedicating that space to know for a fact that this is what's going to happen, that's not going to hamper the lives of our local Goans. I'm talking about Goa for now. Now you're talking about a place like Anjuna or Vagator. It's become, as Kanishk mentioned, it's the hippie trend, right? It followed through. Earlier it used to be Kandulim and Kalangut. Then influx of tourism, they kind of moved away because they were the more quieter kind. They landed up coming to the beaches of Vagator. Little Vagator, which has now become, the party hub spot, and now is facing issues. Again, because everyone's come there. So they moved out. The hippie culture obviously was fledgling because it carried on from there. They landed up going to Saltwater Lake. They went to more. They're trying to get away, and they're also heading down to the south. We have many zones in the south. So when people ask me now, you're talking about zoning. North Goa is the party hub, South Goa is some peace and shanti when you basically just want to relax and do nothing. But it does have a very eclectic nightlife out there as well. But at the same time, I would like to, if somebody was asking me for an interview the other day, how do you categorize Goa? I'm like, it's like a frappuccino. Okay, you have the foam on top, which is basically the tourists. You have the base, which is your main coffee, which is the locals, right, in terms of what it is. And it is great when both don't mix. When you mix your foam and the tourists and the locals together, you have a really crappy coffee.
That's excellent.
Right? And everything coexists. Everything coexists. Why is it that you want to create problems for yourself when we know that governance is already an issue? To look at basically trying to tackle it because there's no rigid framework as to how to go about it. So you're talking about Baga back in the day. I remember when I was in college, Baga was the hotspot. Everyone would just land up going there to be like, you would have your Titos and your Mambos and, all the stalwarts back then, which now it's still running, but it attracts a different kind of tourism, right? You have, Asagao is a very unique case study and it's going to fall into that same trap because earlier it used to be restaurant dominated, now it is settler dominated. So people have come in over there to buy really expensive real estate. And I kid you not, for all their love of Yo-Yo Honey Singh, they're not going to want a banger club next to their 20 CR house or 30 CR house, right? And have like parking issues on the road and stuff like that, right? I kid you not, right? So now Asagao is going to move to a Bagator and Anjuna. So that's your cyclical pattern as to what you're looking at. I remember that during season time, I leave my place in Anjuna because you have 3 resorts around to basically have weddings. And you have like barats going on at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? At 3 o'clock in the morning, and the Panditji basically comes and decides that's the perfect time to have your dole baja at 2 o'clock in the morning. What's the government going to do then? They have to do something. But then what? Right?
I heard one of the Dubai investors is looking at exploring an option like how you said, Phuket has got a zone, special entertainment zone, covering 50 to 60 F&B and entertainment brand. Is it true? They're focusing on South Goa.
I know for a fact, and I know for a fact that the outskirts of Goa, as per the plan, going forward, they are trying to basically dedicate space out there to try to make it like a mini Las Vegas of sorts.
Yeah, that even I've heard.
Right. So how far is it true? I have no idea.
They'll be creating. That's what even I've heard. There'll be a
In
strip.
discussion, it's almost confirmed. Yeah. So one more most important question to all the Goan crowd here. How are you facing this current transport issue? Today, this morning I faced a problem. It took 20 minutes for my cab to come.
No, I was saying that transportation is, I think, the biggest issue in Goa. Rest, if you see, as a tourist, as coming from Bangalore to me, everything is brilliant here, brilliant in terms of weather, food, drinks, vibes, everything. But when you land at the airport, the first thing which hits you is the taxis, the transport. Don't you think this needs to be a very serious concern for Goa as compared to getting tourists around here? Because people who stay here, they have their. In the morning only, I was telling to someone, I said, Bangalore thodi hai ki Uber wala mil jayegi. You have to plan your travel a day before. That yes, from this to this I need a taxi or I have to go here. Nothing can be instant. And secondly, one thing, I always have a question which I really want to ask you guys. I never understood the concept of hiring the car and hiring the scooter over here, and then because Goa is the place everyone comes to party. Everyone gets to get drunk, and there are cops. And there is a drink and driving rule. The biggest thing is this, that a place where everyone is coming to party, how can you allow, scooters on rent or cars on rent? That is again a very risky part, don't you think so?
It's called inclusive economics. Yeah. No, okay, so as someone, I think I'm the only Goan on this dais out here. So I think
You're best suited for this
I'm
answer.
best suited for this answer. Yeah. No, it was a lot of readapting and learning because I've never really lived in Goa. Okay, I left when I was 15. I came back when I was 33, 34. So that was quite a long time from the Goa I remember it to what it is now. Let me just break it down to you. I was in Portugal last month. People call it second Goa. So yeah, it's like it's our Goa as well. It's like Goan's Goa. Let me just give you the structure of what I paid on my taxi fare over there and what I'm paying out here. This is as a tourist. Okay, Portugal is a beautiful place, but we get a lot of our culture from there. It was my first time there, and it was a big eye-opener for me. And I learned to respect Goa, if not already as much. I'm an evangelist for the state, but at the same time, like, I love Goa to the fact even more after seeing that. There is, when you look at disparity between the two, right? Your taxi, everyone says taxi mafia and things like that and whatever. Leave all of that to one side. Work on the economies of scale from a Mopa to say an Anjuna, or from a Dabolim to say, everyone comes to Anjuna and Asaka mostly. So let's take that rate. Dabolim to Anjuna, Asaka was what, 1200 or 1300 bucks, give or take. Mopa is about 850, 870, yeah, apparently, right? I pay 975 always, I don't know why, but it's about 800, 850. My taxi guy is my guy, so I pay him an extra 150 bucks. Sue me. So the point is that the taxi situation is not going to change. I will give it to you as to why also. I will give it to you as to why. The people on this dais are not impacting or tilting the meter any which ways. I promise you, everybody sitting in the audience has a minimum of 2 cars in their house and 3 motorcycles and 1 cycle. Anybody sitting in this audience, right? They've taken it into their own hand, to the fact being that this is our system of how we basically drive. Driver culture in Goa is minuscule. There is no such thing as a driver system culture. And I'm talking about someone coming from the metros, where you would have an Uber, Ola. I never owned a car in Bombay and in Delhi. I literally sold my car and I'm like, Uber and Ola works the best for me, right? It's more cumbersome to own a car out there. Coming into Goa, the first thing I did was 2 cars, for the family members around. It is only because if I work out, obviously this is nightlife, so I'm not going to talk about the mathematics. But right from a political vote bank to the fact being that the number of families that are dependent in terms of voters, in terms of what the government is more skewed when it comes to taking care of their own versus the influx of 1 million tourists coming in every year. That is, and they have no relevance to the government whatsoever. So why are they going to address that problem if you think about it? Who do they keep happy? Who do they keep happy to get into power? You're not going to make a vote out here. You're going to go to Bangalore to vote, right? None of us. I have an electoral voting. Nobody else out here. So why change the system when you believe it is broken or not broken? That is, the glass is half empty and half full.
I think there are certain topics which are out of our influence. We can keep talking, but there's no,
But having said that, I am of the firm belief that we need a system in place, because the alcobev industry is truly dependent on a system that needs to be put in check. Because if I go out drinking in a metro city, I know I can get from my bar or my pub to my hotel room or to my house with at least 5 different variations of transport. Right? Without any care in the world to know that I'm going to get to my bedroom safe, even if I can see 3 of you at the end of the night.
Like Kanishk said, that if there is structure in Goa, a lot of the problems of Goa will be sorted. But there is only that much that you can do, right? You can't do more than that. You can hope, like obviously for us as a restaurateur, if someone's drunk at Purple Martini, I won't want them to drive in the night, right? Because it's risky. I won't want them to drive in the night. But if they aren't getting a taxi, or if the taxi is charging them an exorbitant price and they don't want to pay that, and they are willing to drive, then you can't stop them, right? What do? You can't do anything. You can just ensure that you give them an option that we'll arrange a taxi for you, right? We'll get you dropped. That's what we do. That's the best we can do.
One more check. So there's one more important question, and people discuss about this across the country. There's an influx of demand for regional cuisine in terms of food as well as cocktails, which is shaping up across the country. You go to Mumbai, they have their specific regional Marathi food, fusion food in Italian twist. Is there something which can coexist in Goan cuisine with your international experience, international menu in terms of cocktail, the food? Have you seen any trends? Influence of regional cuisines.
There is someone who's going to be a keynote speaker, I think tomorrow, 11th, right? Tomorrow's 11th? Yeah. Avinash Martins is going to be a keynote speaker over here. I think that question, he kind of answers your question. Everybody out here in Goa is going that way. I spoke to another chef today, before this session, and she was talking to me about figuring out how do you do global inspired cuisine, Goan inspired global cuisine, right? In all my travels, in the top 20 or 30 restaurants which I have done, my first question is there is always one item which is basically Goa based. They will, for lack of anything else, they will call it Vindaloo and things like that because they don't know better, but they're trying. But it is Goan based. You know, they will make something very unique which has a lot of our culture in it. And this I'm talking about really, really big restaurants. I'm talking about, the other day I was at Inja in Delhi, Indian accent. They have a Goan dish and I was very proud and very happy to know that it's traveled all the way over there because we are a confluence of such beautiful cuisine when it comes to all the traders, all the historicals that have happened over centuries and millennia that have basically come to Goa, right? So yesterday I did a Shravan meal in a farm in Goa. It was a completely vegetarian meal and it was cooked by the Gaud Saraswat Brahmins over there. And it was 7-9 amazing dishes, like a foraging to plate kind of concept. And they are taking all of those household preparations and they're flipping it on their head. So the sky is the limit when it comes to that. So I do not see a disparity when it comes to cuisine of are we going to forget survive. We're thriving. We're not surviving. We're thriving. But there is, when it comes to both, between Goan cuisine, my first question to you is what is Goan cuisine? There is no such concept of Goan cuisine because Goan cuisine, according to me, again with my limited knowledge, has 5 pillars. Right? You have the GSP community, that is completely different from the Hindu Goan community, that is completely different from the Catholic Goan community, very different from the Christian Goan community, and the Muslim Goans. Now you tell me what is Goan cuisine.
Like you said, the typical Vindaloos.
That is gentrified. You know, so that is, we know it because that is one particular part of a cuisine. So tomorrow, if people do their research, I kid you not, they can make brilliant dishes across one from each different genre and it's still going to be like gastronomically indulgent throughout. You know? So, yeah.
So is there a particular area in Goa where the locals visit frequently? Like in Bangalore, in Mumbai, there are particular areas where you see mostly locals.
I don't think there is a particular area, but I think whoever lives wherever has their local favorite bar. I think it works like that, like any other city. Like if I live in Tanjim, I usually will hang around near Donapal, Miramar, Max Kundu, Sangolda, maybe. I mean,
one thing I have really noticed in Goa that people prefer, like you said, people prefer the bars, you know, the nearby community bars, the
You
nearby.
don't have to drive back then drunk.
Exactly. If you compare it, the same might be because of. If you compare it with any other city, people travel, to 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers. Oh, let's go and see that bar. Let's go and visit that place.
We do that here too.
But
We also go and visit different bars in far locations, but it's not a regular bar.
Yeah.
There's a difference between going to some place regularly.
No, but Goa is a place where the locals might be, like you guys are staying here, that everyone has their favorite community bar, nearby, and it becomes a home then, and you prefer to go there again and again, right?
Thank you everyone for patiently listening to this panel. We are open for questions, if any. And we have a small presentation by Zilout.
I think he also has a question, right? For the panelists? Do you? Okay, cool.
Hi, so the question is about technology and the nightlife and the operations. So, given the fact that the nightlife is evolving with millennials and young individuals, young crowd of India, they are more adaptive to tech. And given the fact that we have a high energy nightlife experience, clubs and restaurants with a lot of people at the same place. So, what do you think that technology as a platform plays an important role to curate that seamless experience to the end consumer?
So, I mean, it's a pretty wide spectrum when you say technology, because there's a lot of technology utilized when it comes to nightlife. You have your sound system, your lights, your point of sale softwares, your kitchen tech, your bar tech. It's kind of crazy. And to be honest, every time there is some format of good technology introduced in our segment, it helps. It always adds value to a way where a customer experience gets better with time. I think where we're lacking is, being such a large population, the segregation of databases based on preferences and design is not done in our country. We have a zillion amounts of data, but nobody's willing to sit down and sift through and bring out tech that can, let's say, have Saarthak the 500 target customers that he knows he'll convert 50% of, and similarly me at Loft. That segregation in tech will really help on creating more diversified experiences for us, in my opinion. Because then we'll exactly know who to target instead of spam people in this age of 15-second scrolling and people barely paying attention to most of the content that you're putting out. You basically have to barrage people with content now so that they see your content instead of making quality content, right? Again, drawback of technology. But majority of the times, all of this really adds value. And in my opinion, the demographic segregation is crucial in the number of, let's say, restaurants and F&B facilities growing in our country. And it's because I don't think we were considered an industry till about 4-5 years ago, right? And now if you see every big conglomerate and corporate, including like a Louis Vuitton, investing in a Dishoom, and making 300 capacity restaurants across the globe and opening like 100 outlets. You'd never think of that. But now if they're thinking of food and beverage to be formidable enough to put money in, then yes, this industry has a lot of scope to build on. And technology will always be something that we rely on constantly to grow. So I think that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, I have a second question which you mentioned about data insights. So with my experience working closely with the nightlife venues and these industry, we realized that the restaurant and the fine dine restaurants, they were quite active when it comes to accepting technology as a solution. But these nightlife venues, there was some friction when we tried to help them and solve them with the tech. We saw some friction, and we realized that there is an educational gap on the business side as well. The hospitality chains were running by the people, they were not very comfortable using the tech, as well as on the consumer side. Back like if I talk 3 to 4 years back also, the tech adoption in nightlife was also very less. Now coming to the point which you said, that data-driven insight, what do you think that how impactful it is in terms of boosting the revenue or maybe putting the right information in front of the customer using the tech?
I think this is what you brought up is the most important point, because everyone is communicating at this point of time. Everybody has an outreach plan, like you said, 6 PR companies ready to come and blast out information to you. But the correct information and the correct methodology of outreach, exactly, we are. Because we are in a generation where our young generation is now our customers. We're truly not relying on, let's say, our age group or our older age group, because that's how life transforms, right? You party through a certain age and then you get married and so on and so forth. But when you're targeting to a younger group and a younger demographic, that perfectly helps, because as a younger person, when they're sifting through so much information, when they get that exact required information, let's say in the color code and the font and each and every nitty-gritty done to the T, it'll make the maximum amount of difference. And I'm completely open. I mean, as a nightlife person, if you come up to me and give me some tech that makes my life easier, and I come from originally a supply chain background, I'll be more than happy to incorporate it.
I'd just like to add here that we are already using Zellout. So, in fact, for a lot of our marketing campaigns, you would be knowing that Purple Martini uses your platform. So yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, I would like
half
to...
the job is done for you. We have another question. You can take yours off stage. That will be the last question, Mr. Chaudhary.
Yes.
Last.
Okay, so for Kanishk and Saarthak, the possibility of the new rule coming in of the sound being permitted till 1 a.m. Again, so how can it be impactful for an outdoor venue in a very positive way probably, and for an indoor venue in probably a little negative way? So how do you both, I'm assuming you look at it differently, so what would be your way forward if it get implemented as soon as possible, that outdoor music will be allowed till 1 a.m.?
I hope it's implemented till 1 a.m. because whatever said and done, when a person comes to Goa, 99% of the people, if they are in Anjuna, Vagator or that belt in North Goa, they're coming to have a good time. People, if you're coming for a holiday or if you're going for a holiday anywhere, right, you don't want to enter a venue where there is no music after 10 o'clock or there is no vibe after 10 o'clock, whether it's a outdoor venue or an indoor venue, right? It doesn't matter. You need that entertainment, you need the music, you need that vibe in a place, and I think it'll be beneficial for both indoor and outdoor, because then more people will come to Goa. I think a lot of people have stopped coming to Goa as well, because if you're planning a holiday to Goa with your friends and you can't go out, you can't party after 10 o'clock, then you would plan some other destination, right? So I think it'll only increase the footfalls in the city, and I think it'll be beneficial for both indoor and outdoor venues. So yeah, so I hope it happens. I'm praying, fingers crossed.
It's more likely to happen, but yes, fingers crossed until it happens. Yes. Kanishk, you wanted to add something?
I mean, I kind of completely agree with him. I mean, as a business perspective, sure, like with the immediate changes, with Goa's nature being intact, the reason we went indoor was because of compliance, right? Because of neighbors, etc., right? Which is fair, which we're totally comfortable doing. But like he said, if there is an extension and a communication going out to the general public that you can party till outdoor till 1, which means for indoor, they'll bump up the timings further. So it's even more beneficial for us because we get more business hours. So like he's saying, it should happen, and we should structure those timelines so that people have a clear understanding of when you're flying down from another city and spending a certain amount of money, you're clear on how long you can actually party and go out for. If this Independence Weekend, like we had a similar situation last year, they shut down Independence Weekend through and through the state, which was appalling because the amount of money invested by the festivals and the venues around was absurd. But I mean, that's why it's really crucial for us to have that segregation and clear understanding then we plan accordingly, and people can plan their experiences accordingly, and it saves us a lot of grief. So I think it's a great win-win for both of us, being indoor-outdoor.
Lovely, all the best.
I think the panel has been really kind despite the hot. But just last, we have Nayan from Zilout who is going to present. Just a quick one.
Hi everyone, I am Nayan, co-founder of Zilout, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here sharing stage with incredible voices from nightlife industry. And in fact, I would like to point out last year when we started, we are a 2.5-year-old company, we are a young startup, and Saarthak was the one who gave us the chance. Purple Martini is very close to me, very emotional, because when we started in Goa, Purple Martini was our first client. Saarthak put the trust in my team, and somehow we got going good in Goa. So I'll talk a little bit more about my journey, how I started, me being a very party person. So was a lot of going out and figuring out what's the problem, and I realized that nightlife as an industry was very unorganized and very chaotic. So whether being I am allowed as a stack to enter or not, even if I'm allowed, what's the cover charge I have to pay. So we wanted to solve that problem, and we started building a B2C platform to provide a transparent information to the end consumer. But later we realized that the chaos is much more bigger chaos is inside the venue. Whether it is streamlining your guest entries, segmenting and classifying your data as Kanishk was talking about. So we completely changed our model, and then we started helping nightlife venues with the streamlining of their guests and then operations, and then without spamming them, how we calculate their likes. So if I'm a Bollywood person and I get a message that hey, there is a techno night, it's a spam for me. But if I get something what I like about, it's not a spam for me, it's an information for me. So yes, with Zilout, we are on a mission to streamline the nightlife industry. We are inside the gate as well as outside the gate. So yeah, that's what the entire mission is. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, panelists. Can I have Mr. Prateek from our team to present a token of appreciation to everybody on stage? It was a really interesting discussion, and as someone who's from Delhi and does not like to party, it was really interesting to hear how Goa market is changing.